This time, AMA Pro Flat Track carves up another mile with another photo finish. RV2 pulls the plug on a storied career. We talked to ProMoto's Jason Wygant about that and more. We introduce you to Moto America's Super Sport points leader, JD Beach. The ATV MX battle is at full throttle with the young gun making moves to grab the #1 plate. Plus AMA Vintage Days, a chance to relive the past as fast as you like. That and more only on the Racer X Show. Hello and thanks for checking out the Racer X Show. I'm Greg. If you haven't heard by now, Motocross and Supercross star Ryan Villopoto sent out a press release just a few days ago announcing his retirement. We'll talk more about that in a moment. And that big flat track crash that you just saw in the tease, that was Sean Bair. We'll have more on that as well. So here we go.
The Racer X Show with Greg White is being presented by Acherubi's Soul and Passion, and by Yoshimura, the leader in performance exhausts.
Let's start the show with the motocross segment presented by Acherubi's and getting you up to date on what's been happening in the sport. So let's welcome again via Skype pro motocross commentator from NBC, Jason Wygant. Hey Jay, good to have you with us on the show again.
Man, always good to be here, especially with an off weekend because I've run out of things to say. So let's reignite the bench racing, get back into this. A weekend without talking motorcycles is weird, right?
Dude, I had to shoot over to Indy to watch the Pro Flat Track Mile just to get my fix. Now, it does feel like it's been a while since the last Pro Moto race. What are some of the things that you've seen since the last time we talked?
The big change, obviously, is headlined by Justin Barcia winning these 2 races in a row. And it was one thing when it was muddy there at Budds Creek, but doing it at Redbud and showing the ability to match Ryan Dungey, that really changes everything we have coming into these races. We knew that, obviously, Ken Roczen could do it. At the beginning of the year, it was Eli Tomac. So we potentially now have to say that every week, Barcia is going to be a factor for the win. And also, a little bit more quietly, Christophe Pourcel, you've seen it. He's in the mix also. So you're looking at maybe 4 riders every weekend that could be at least leading laps or gunning for the victory, which is really exciting.
The 250 class, 2 riders jump out, Christian Craig and Cooper Webb.
Yeah, the Cooper Webb thing, he's actually 3rd, believe it or not, in laps led in the 250 class, which is crazy because he's missed 80% of the races. There's all this talk about, oh, how are he and Jeremy Martin going to get along because they battled last year and people think they don't get along. But I don't think it's Cooper against specifically Jeremy Martin. He doesn't care who it is. The teammate thing's just a coincidence. He will run anybody off the track if he needs to win. He will do whatever it takes to win. It doesn't matter if it's a teammate or not. It's not specifically a Jeremy Martin thing. It's a whoever I have to beat today, that's who I'm going after. I like that kind of throwback style that he has. You got to figure he's going to win one soon. And Christian Craig, Webb is only getting back to where we know he can be. This is the best we've ever seen Christian Craig go. And on a podcast that we do here on Racer X, we're making the joke, team managers should force every rider to work a regular job for 6 months of their life. Because suddenly, after having to work in construction for about a year and a half or so, Christian Craig is more motivated to race than ever, so good for him.
Then last week, a biggie, Ryan Villopoto announces his retirement. Your thoughts about Ryan, his career, and his retirement?
Yeah, you really have to separate it like you just did. You have to separate it into thoughts about him and his career and then how this retirement worked. This is one of the more bizarre ways to retire, and you've seen it in a variety of sports. It can go a million different directions, but to just end with a press release in the middle of the season, people haven't seen him at the races for a while. Just a bizarre way to end it, but I think that kind of sums up the way this final year was. I don't think his heart was fully in racing anymore. He had to do something because he had a contract. So I don't want to say it was inevitable that it could end this way, but it was certainly possible that he could go out with, I guess, a whimper and not a bang. There's no victory tour or anything like that. As far as his career, I'm sure we can discuss it in the future. I believe, and some people disagree, but I believe he's had the 2nd best career ever. I'm not saying he's the 2nd best rider or the 2nd fastest guy, but I see the variety of conditions and bikes and formats that he won in. He did it in the 250s and the 450s, indoors and out. Also did it at Motocross of Nations, so he had proven he could do it under pressure. Basically anything you threw at him, he figured out a way to win the title. I think only Ricky Carmichael did it better. So the legacy's fine. I don't think that this weird retirement even affects that, but still, it was a weird way to go out.
Agreed. Okay, as always, Jason, thank you for your insight. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you Friday at Spring Creek.
All right, Greg. See ya.
Pro Motocross is back in action on Saturday. You can catch Moto 1 action on MAV TV live at 2 p.m. East, and then later that night at 11 p.m. East, catch the second motos on NBC Sports Network. And that is our Motocross segment, brought to you by Cherubies. Now our road race segment presented by Yoshimura. Last week we showed you some Moto America Supersport highlights from Miller Motorsports Park, where Yamalube Yes Graves Yamaha's JD Beach has been on a tear as of late. He's won 7 of 10 races this season. This after a 5-year drought. And now he joins us. What's up, JD? How are you, man?
I'm doing good. Just hanging out in this hot and humid Kentucky weather.
Well, JD, I mentioned it, 5 years without a win. This must have been tough. And heading into the season, what were your expectations then versus what they are now after winning 7?
I mean, I feel like I've been putting in the work and the results just haven't been coming. And to finally have the season that I'm having, it's kind of something, I don't know that I expected it. This was the kind of season that I've been wanting. And I've learned a lot from a lot of pros, and one guy I've learned a lot from is Josh Hayes, and it seems like throughout his career he's had moments where like he's been real good and real fast, but it sounds like he's had some rocky times too, but just kind of pushed through it. So I mean that's what I've been trying to do, and I feel like now all this bicycle riding motocross, riding dirt track, working out in the gym, it's starting to pay off, and I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Before your first win in COTA in the rain, did you know that it was coming?
No, it kind of got to that point where like I was almost I was kind of doubting myself. I mean, because I've been trying and working so hard, and I've been so close so many times, and just kept coming up short. So it was really, I got to the point I was just kind of questioning myself. I'm like, is it gonna happen or not?
What was going through your mind coming out of the final corner for your first win of the year?
I was nervous because it was in the rain at Austin and going from the long back straightaway into turn 12, I think it is. But usually Falling or Heron would pass right there, and I was going into there, and I didn't really hear a bike or anything. So I was like, well, that's kind of weird, because I had just gotten the lead, and I'm going into the last turn, and I just go in there pretty deep and get it real sideways. And I didn't hear any bikes, and I kind of went wide, and I looked at coming out of the turn. I looked back, and I was like, "There's nobody there," and emotion just ran over me. I got my first win, and to do it in the rain too, I think was something special. And for it to be the first Moto America event too was really cool.
All right, you have the points lead. 3 events remain in the season. Do you go to Laguna this weekend in championship mode or race win mode?
I'm going to Laguna to win races. That's what's gonna win the points, and I mean I'm trying not to think of the points. And
all right, final question, JD, on the spot. You can only race one more race in your life: road race or dirt track?
Man, after these last couple of weeks watching the Coin and Indy, these miles, it definitely have to be like a nice dirt track mile. Those guys are crazy. I mean, it's hard for me to believe that like I was one of those guys just watching them. I mean, they're so fast, and like just the conditions and stuff. It's awesome.
Well, JD, thank you so much for spending time with us on the RacerX Show, and good luck with your championship run.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg.
The full complement of Moto America races support World Superbike at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca this weekend. You can catch the Superbike and Supersport stuff on MotorTrendOnDemand.com. The other races on fanschoice.tv. All the info's on MotoAmerica.com. A quick MotoGP update as the 9th round of the championship fought it out at the Sachsenring in Germany. The weekend was dominated by Repsol Honda's Marc Marquez, but it was Valentino Rossi who's 3rd ahead of teammate Jorge Lorenzo. That was the big story, further extending the 9-time champ's points lead to 13. It's an all-movie star Yamaha affair up top. Who would have guessed that back in March? The #1 production-based championship in the world, World Superbike, comes to the shores of California and Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca this weekend. You can catch the TV coverage on beIN Sport Network, beginning with Super Pole on Saturday at 6 p.m. East. On Sunday, live Race 1 at 2:30 with Race 2 going off at 5:30. And that is our road race segment presented by Yoshimura. AMA Pro Flat Track hit the halfway point of their season over the weekend, and what has been a race in conjunction with the MotoGP events in Indianapolis, this time they were on their own. And in the GNC1 class as of late, there's been a handful of riders racing it up. 42 is Crosley Radio's Brian Smith, who's dominated the miles on his Kawasaki, a resurgent 2013 GNC champ, that's factory Harley-Davidson's Brad the Bullet Baker on the #6, and the reigning champ, #1 plated and points leader Roger Racing Harley-Davidson's Jared Mees. And in this one, those were the racers who fought it out to the end. With rain in the area, the folks at AMA Pro moved the GNC1 race to the top of the order, so it was a bit brighter than usual at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. But a few laps into the race, and this massive crash happened. Number 32, Sean Bear on a KTM, who was running up front, got into the deep soft stuff on the outside, sucked him into the air fence, and wow, ripped that bike to pieces. Lucky that the riders behind were able to avoid the shrapnel. Amazing enough, Bear would get up and walk away under his own power. That would be the first of 3 red flags and 3 restarts. And when we finally got it all sorted out, we got the race we wanted.
3 riders to decide the winner of the Indy Mile. Smith looks up the inside, tries to take over the second spot away from Baker. Baker back to the high side. Meese on the bottom. Smith right there on the bottom with him. Baker up in the deep stuff. What's going to happen? Here they come off of turn number 4 for the final time at the Indy Mile. It is Meese and Baker. Baker into catbird seat. He's going to try to make the draft pass. He swings out wide. Here he comes to the line. It's going to be Baker now. Here comes the Green Rocket.
Again, a close one with Baker getting the nod this time. Smith just shy, but outrunning Mees. Let's hear from the Bullet.
Jared had a little bit of strategy. We wanted me to lead coming off of 4 as well, and you know we were kind of playing mind games along with Brian here to get the position to come off of 4. And you know I fought hard for it.
Okay, well, how about this stat? The total margin of victory for all 4-mile races, 0.176 of a second. That is racing, people. You've got to check it out. A quick update on Sean Bear and his condition after that seemingly horrific crash in which Bear's front wheel hit Henry Wiles in the helmet. Bear has a sore neck and a bit of a minor concussion, and that's it. All things considered, that's not that bad. His bike, on the other hand, he put everything he had into that 750. The motor, the wheels, and the shock are the only things left. The Bethel, PA rider needs some help getting back to racing, but Sean, I'm glad you're okay, man. All right, shifting gears to the Mountain Dew ATV Motocross Series. I've been telling you that someone, including young gun Joel Hetrick of Hetrick Racing Corrosion Specialties Honda, had to step up and put a stop to the momentum of championship points leader Wienen Motorsports Yamaha's Chad Wienen, if anyone thought they had a shot at the #1 plate. And when round 8 from Unadilla was over, things were looking a lot tighter up top. Another day of perfect weather greeted the field of racers as the gate dropped for Moto 1 of the Pro ATV class. Root River Racing's Josh Upperman edged out Hetrick to snag the SSI Decals Hole Shot Award. However, it didn't take long for Hetrick to get around, leading the field as it crossed the line to complete the first lap. Once in the lead, and as Hetrick quickly gapped the rest of the field, it would be Wienen who had his work cut out for him. He moved into 4th by the end of the first lap, and by the next lap, passed both Upperman and Maxxis Yamaha's Thomas Brown to vault into 2nd by the 2nd lap. But out front, Hetrick was never pressured and took the win. The margin of victory, 13.5 seconds, but more importantly, max moto points. A better start for Chad Wienen in Moto #2, but it was Hetrick who collected the SSI Decals Hole Shot Award and assumed the early lead. That start by Wienen gave him the chance to put the pressure on Hetrick the entire moto. Wienen even laid down the fastest lap of the race over halfway through the moto, but in the end, it wasn't enough as Hetrick answered every time Wienen threw a shot at him and clinched the moto sweep. 2.3 seconds the margin in this one, with the battle for 3rd coming down to Brown and Jeffrey Rastrelli. But how about a healthy Hetrick after the race?
Came out the 2nd moto, pulled the whole shot, and led the whole race, start to finish. Chad had an epic battle with me. He was on my tail the whole time, but I edged him out for the win. And you know, it feels great to be up on the podium in the center of the box, and hopefully I can do it again at Redbud.
Tetrick a class-leading 8th and 9th moto wins, allowing him to pick up 6 valuable points as the chase winds down for the 2015 championship. While it may have been an off weekend for Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, it was a very busy one for the old school. The second weekend in July means the annual AMA Vintage Motocross Days gathering at Mid-Ohio Motorsports Park in Lexington, Ohio. Part vintage race, part swap meet, and all fun. The event brings together motorcycling enthusiasts from every set: dirt bikes, road racers, trial riders, side hacks, even three-wheelers. It's a celebration of all things motorcycling, and at its heart, a giant swap meet where you can find just about anything related to yesteryear. Race parts, antique motorcycles, retro riding gear, posters, books, collectible toys, you name it. And chances are pretty good that someone had it for sale in the giant Vintage Motorcycle Days swap meet. If you find yourself looking for something to do next summer at this time, check out the AMA's Vintage Motorcycle Days at Mid-Ohio. Dust off your old bike, put on your favorite old riding gear, and ride in. Vintage Motorcycle Days, it's like Loretta Lynn's for adults. Hey, get out and go see or race something new. This is where I'll be Saturday, Pro Motocross at Spring Creek. Come to Minnesota and check it out. World Superbike and Moto America are at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca all weekend. AMA Pro Hill Climb is at West Branch in Michigan. So good. Full gas Sprint Enduro Round 3 in Brazil, Indiana. Go race that one. And in Texas, go race or watch Scramble Cross, old school motocross type racing. Have fun.
The RacerX Show with Greg White is being presented by Cherubies, Soul and Passion, and by Yoshimura, the leader in performance exhausts.
Before we go, we want to let you know that the biggest amateur motocross race in the world, it's kind of like the Little League World Series of Moto, is happening in less than 2 weeks at Loretta Lynn's Ranch. That begins on the 25th and runs for 9 days. So look, you can go and spectate. You can see the fastest kids in the world race, and you can say, hey, I saw that kid when he was young. He's like 9 years old and he won. All right, well, that's enough, right? We got to go. So for the fine crew here at the RacerX Show and RacerTV, I'm Greg. We thank you for watching, and make sure that you keep it locked right here on RacerTV, because we are all racing all the time. See ya.